Now call to order the Wytheville Town Council meeting, Monday, February 12th, 2024 at 5 p.m. held in the Municipal Building at 150 East Monroe Street, Wytheville. We do have a quorum. And if you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next is approval of the agenda. I will need a motion, and this will be a roll call vote. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, it is a roll call vote. Mr. Gilman?
Gilman, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Patterson, aye.
Johnson, aye. Been approved. For information, we can have a recess if so needed around 6 p.m. Next is the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of the work session of the regular meeting of January 22, 2024. I'll need a motion to accept as presented or somehow amended.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Right here, none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. So next on the agenda is the citizens period. And I've been a little bit lax in trying to keep people educated as far as citizens period. So I'm going to go ahead and just say a few paragraphs, or not very paragraphs, that's out of the Wytheville Town Council Rules of Procedure. Citizens period is to allow town Wytheville citizens to address the council regarding any matter that is not on the agenda. Each citizen should be allocated 5 minutes unless council needs them to go further. No one shall be allowed to exceed the time limited specified in the sections of the Rules of Procedure. But again, if council wishes, that can go forward. Next, the cumulative of repetitive testimony. Repeating the same testimony shall not be permitted on any matter, and persons of the same position as a previous speaker shall state the name and the position with which they agree. And nobody signed up to talk, but I'll give an example of that. When we had the hoteliers here a while back, and one of the hotel owners spoke for the crowd that was here, not the crowd, they had 3 or 4. And so that's how it's always been. I just wanted to bring those up today. So again, there's nobody signed up for citizens period, so we're going to move on. Next is to consider the request of Town Treasurer Michael Stevens to write off $60,844.47, the total value of delinquent taxes and water and sewer accounts for which the statute of limitations has expired from the town books. And we will invite Mr. Stevens up to the podium to see if there's any questions from council.
Any questions?
Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
if I'm delinquent in paying my water and I don't pay my bill, you cut my water off.
Yes, ma'am.
6 months later, I come back and I need town water. I must pay the fees that are due.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
But these are water accounts that are the statute of limitation if you have a signed agreement of 5 years. So these are accounts that I think there's about 6 years here. And while we're requesting it, this is probably a little early for our request, but we're getting ready to switch to a new computer system, and we want to clean up all of these accounts. There's no use in carrying over uncollectible accounts when we transfer the data to the new system. So we're trying to get them all off the books now. That's uncollectible. So when we convert, we're not converting data that's uncollectible.
Delinquent taxes, do we ever work with the county and perhaps,
We do with real estate,
yeah,
and we just had a sale back in October, November, and sold about, I think there was about 5 parcels in town, and raised considerable money. Got all the delinquent taxes off the books. Got them in owners' names now that will hopefully pay them. But we work with them on real estate, but not personal property. For personal property, just to give you some information, we use the Department of Taxation. It's called a debt set-off program. We'll send a file to the Department of Taxation every November, and if you are due a tax refund, and we send a file in and they get a match, they will intercept your tax refund and send it to the town of Wytheville. There's a procedure. We have to send a letter, give them 30 days notice and so forth. We collect a lot that way. 2 years ago, we started participating in the DMV program called VSTOP. We we send a file to DMV if you owe us personal property tax, and they can withhold your vehicle registration. If your tags are due to, let's say, end of February, and if you have personal property owed us, they can refuse to sell you your decals until you pay the town of Wytheville. And that's been a very good program, and we've collected a lot of money the last 2 years. And when we did those, we did the 5 years. Anybody that owed us 5 years of personal property, we sent them to DMV. So
sounds like you're doing a good job. Appreciate your efforts.
thank you.
Mr. Stevens, do you think that nowadays you're getting more of the car tax as you should without I'll just tell you what happened, to somebody. So, this happened a couple of times. They buy a local car, and the car dealership either puts county or town on it before it goes to the DMV. And then I know that the town was losing some revenue at that point. Do you feel like that's kind of evened out? And no, it's still going to be a problem?
And I met last week with the Commissioner of Revenue, the county administrator, and their IT person to try to help. I met with the old commissioner back in December and took some concerns to her. We found a couple vehicles because we were short about 700 vehicles. Now I realize there's, people move, whatever, but there was we found a little problem with the system. But she's since retired, and so I went to explain it to the new commissioner, and we pointed out one individual after trial and error. We found that showed the problem, that why we were not getting the tax, but they were getting a county tax bill. They are looking into that with their programmers to try to help to alleviate that problem. But I think there's still issues where they're putting the wrong jurisdiction code when they either renew their tags or buy them from a dealership. But I do really know how to fix that. And I guess if I could, I'd be a genius, because every locality in Virginia would like to have that.
Any other questions for Mr. Stevens?
But we are being successful currently.
Yes, ma'am. We're collecting a lot of delinquencies, and the ones a lot of them move out of state, so they don't have a tax refund. They can't intercept their vehicle license. So that's we do the best we can with the tools we have. So
thank you, and thank you for affording me the opportunity to ask questions.
You're welcome.
Archie, thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other questions? If not, town council will consider to authorize town treasurer Stevens to write the delinquent taxes, water and sewer accounts off from the town books. I will need a motion, and this will be a roll call vote.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? Right, hearing none. We'll start with Councilwoman Johnson, please.
Johnson, aye.
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Gilman, aye.
And that motion passes. Next is to consider scheduling a special town council meeting on Wednesday, March 6th 2024 at 4 p.m. and scheduling a public hearing for this meeting to consider a bond in the maximum amount of $491,784 to be used to pay the cost of capital improvements to the town's wastewater facilities. And we'll invite Mr. Freeman up, please.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So tonight's action is just to set a public hearing for this because it is a bond. If you all will recall, this is monies that were approved in the during the budget process last year for this year. This is just to complete the financing package for the improvements. You all recall the sewer I&I project that we've been working on for a couple of years with DEQ. It's actually about a $2 million project with 75% principal forgiveness. So that's about 1.5 million. And then this is the remaining approximately 25% of the project cost that we will have to obtain a bond for at 30 years at zero interest. So this is a project that you all have already approved. This will just complete the financing package for it.
And I will say for council's sake that the reason this is not on one of our normal Monday night meetings is for this particular entity, you can only schedule the meeting 13 to 14 days after the first advertisement. That's why we can't have it one of our.
Yeah, there's some advertising requirements on some of these that are, I'll call them peculiarities in the code that make it very difficult to, if not impossible, to make them land perfectly on your council meeting dates. So just the way that one goes.
Mr. Freeman? I hear none. We will consider a motion, town council to schedule the special town council meeting for March 6th at 4 p.m. And it'll be a council meeting and a public hearing. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? The motion passes. Next on the agenda is to consider the request of Open Door Community's Director of Marketing and Communications, Mr. Eric Busey, to provide traffic control on Saturday, June 15th, 2024, to conduct the Fast and Baroni Metric Century Charity Ride. So need a motion?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Is there any further discussion?
Does Elaine need to tell us any more about it?
It sounds like you guys are ready to go on this one. If you
Alright.
have any questions, I'm here to answer them. But it's a pretty straightforward request. They've done this multiple years.
Right. Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. That motion passes. Next is to consider an appointment to the Wytheville Building Code Appeals Board for a new alternate member.
Mayor Taylor, I think this is fairly self-explanatory. The council has interviewed 2 candidates for this position and now it's considered the appointment.
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
We need the
Which candidate?
candidate.
Which candidate are you addressing for approval?
You had Mr. Craigmeyer, I believe if I'm saying that correctly, and Mr. Catron.
They're both strong candidates. I'm going to put out the name, Mr. Creekmeyer.
So we have a motion. We have a recommendation. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. So that motion passes. Next on the agenda is consider the reappointment of Mr. George Whitwer to the Wytheville Planning Commission. His term expires March 2nd, 2024, and he is eligible for reappointment. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider the reappointment of Mr. George Whitwer to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next on the agenda is new business, and we invite Mr. Freeman.
There's no new business at this time, Mayor Taylor. No new business at this time.
All right. Next is reports from the town manager.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. This will be very brief. Over the last several weeks, the main focus of my office has been to collect the departmental budget requests for the 24-25 budget year prep. We've received those and have them pretty well all plugged into basically into our spreadsheets for consideration. And I look forward to working with the Budget and Finance Committee to develop a budget proposal for the coming year. We do have a draft budget calendar that I'd like to present to the Budget and Finance Committee over the next couple of weeks that will bring back to you, that will set the public hearing dates for the budget, also set the proposed dates for work sessions so that we can kind of roll up our sleeves and all look at the budget collectively. I will be working with the Budget and Finance Committee to finalize a proposal on that in the coming days. We are also working on a budget revision for the current year. There's nothing monumental in there. The main reason for it is that VDOT has changed the funding formula for the street maintenance funds that we get as categorical aid every year. That has basically infused the street maintenance budget with about $730,000 more than prior years. Now, these are funds that are already coming, but until we appropriate those funds, the Public Works Department cannot make use of them. Just to be clear, these are restricted funds. There's an urban maintenance manual that designates what these can be used for, and so we basically have to spend the money every year. And we've got to get a budget revision together for you before they can do that. And I will start looking at that in the morning, actually, with the Budget and Finance Committee. So I'll look forward to that. We do anticipate receiving our health insurance renewal sometime over the next 2 weeks. It's about time for that. We don't really have a sense for where that will go, how much it will go up, but I would anticipate an increase there. And as soon as we get that, we'll review it with the committee and come back to the council with a recommendation. So budget talk is what you're going to hear a lot of from me for probably the next 4 months. So that's it, Mayor Taylor.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Freeman? Next will be upcoming meetings. Chief Deputy Clerk Randy Jones, please.
The Water Authority will meet on Thursday, February 15th at 10 a.m. in Austinville. The Town of Wytheville municipal offices will be closed and all services curtailed on Monday, February 19th, in observance of President's Day. Downtown Wytheville Incorporated will not meet on Monday, February 19th, due to the President's Day holiday. The Wytheville Redevelopment and Housing Authority will meet on Wednesday, February 21st at 12 p.m. at the Housing Authority office. The Joint Industrial Development Authority of Wythe County will meet on Thursday, February 22nd at 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. And the next regular scheduled meeting of the Wytheville Town Council will be held on Monday, February 26th at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers.
We will now go into council member time and start with you, Mr. Gilman. Do you have any?
I've noticed in town there's quite a few potholes, especially on West Lee or East Lee Highway. You could have Public Works check on that, please. That's all I can.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Nothing to just.
Woman Johnson.
Yes, Oakwood Cemetery fencing.
Mhm.
The fence is not complete at Oakwood and hasn't been complete in some time. When will that fencing be completed?
Well, Mayor Taylor and I have actually talked about this a couple of months ago, and Mr. Peoples has gotten me a quote to do it across the rear of the property, and I'd like to. Can Budget and Finance talk about it in the morning? I would like to put it in the budget for this year. I think we need to do it, but I wanted to talk to you and maybe some members of the community about what the preferred type of fencing.
Okay, it already has some fencing.
Sure, but I
and
didn't
so
know.
it needs to
well,
match up.
Okay, there you go. So we're going to look for some input on what would be preferred. I didn't know if privacy was what was intended or if it was just security or preventing people from going from the adjacent prop. The complaint that I had received was that people were parking in the cemetery and going to an adjacent property. So I didn't know I just wanted to be clear on what.
Well,
Yeah, I think we got him to price it multiple
Right.
ways.
But at the time, I guess at the time that the fencing was put up, it was not ever completed
Right.
along that backside, and the rest of our cemeteries, I think, are completely.
Yeah, I agree. And I went out there with
enclosed.
Billy Anderson, our engineer, and he was going to mark the property line for us. And then Chris Peoples was getting quotes to put up the fencing. And he should have us, I think we were looking at matching wrought iron, steel, aluminum, and privacy, just depending on what people prefer to have.
Okay,
So,
all right. I'd like for it to match the
Sure.
existing fence. Also, have you been able to work with Mr. Woods, Dr. Woods, on the traffic calming presentation for Mountain View Drive? I know a stop sign was placed, but I do want to follow the proper guidelines and come up with.
Sure. And we don't have one
Proper.
yet. I mean, it would basically be a repeat of the same traffic calming measures that we presented for Monroe Street. I mean, we can repeat that.
Okay.
Give me a little time on it. I want to afford him the time to do it because it'll take a lot of consideration for him other than presenting the measures. But if he has to show them in situation, and that's a little bit more involved.
And possibly once he gets that ready, can we invite those constituents of that neighborhood so that they can see the types of measures that we can take?
We have stepped up the enforcement there as well.
Yes.
It's probably not as fruitful as Monroe Street has been, but I say fruitful, I don't mean to be flippant about it, but I mean Monroe Street is generating some tickets, and Mountain View has a few, but not quite to the degree that Monroe.
They're doing a fine job
They absolutely
safety-wise. Very proud of our police department. They are doing an excellent job. So I'm thankful for them and all of their hard work and their sacrifices, not just from them, but from their families as well. So we are very blessed for the job that they do. So I'm thankful for that. I do not have anything else, but I do reserve the right to come back.
I want to just kind of put on something like what you were just talking about. There are, and I don't know how to handle it. I mean, even myself and my family and others, but there's a lot of people who are still not really seeing that new stop sign. So we're still running through it, so I don't know. I drive down there and I kind of look at them saying, now, why is that not catching people's attention? I don't know what the answer is, but I
We
just
can look
think
at
it's
that and see.
it's just going to be over and over again and patterned until everybody's used to it. But I just want everybody to know that people, not intentionally, but unintentionally, are still going through there.
Yeah, I think there's at least one, and you wouldn't put but one, but I believe there is a stop ahead sign and then the stop sign, and is the bar painted? Is the stop bar painted? Because that would be like the sort of the next indicator. Let me check into that.
Yeah.
What about the box with the red lights on it? The one
We can
on
look at
Fisher
that.
Road to kind of get your attention.
Yeah.
The one on Fisher Road had a box on it that had flashing red lights when it was newly placed there to alert drivers that it was a new traffic pattern.
Gotcha.
So maybe possibly put that box on those stop signs because it can, even if it at nighttime, it can alert drivers that there is a stop sign there.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
And I don't have anything else. Just wanted to add on to that, since I've observed it several times. All right. So now we're down to council committee reports. And again, Mr. Gilman, from your committees.
Don't have anything to report at this time.
Vice Mayor,
Nothing to report.
Councilwoman Johnson. Just going to say the tree committee's still going forward with their trees. We have one of the members sitting out here. They're doing an excellent job. They're in the planning portion of getting their folders out. I think I talked to Mr. Freeman about when y'all doing your budget and all that, because the tree committee has no money and no budget, that you might have some dialogue about that for the folders and stuff that the town's doing it, but still, just would like for y'all to have some dialogue. All right, that's all I have. So, does council have anything else before we go into a closed meeting? Hearing none, council now feels that we need to go into a closed meeting pursuant to 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel for legal advice. I will need a motion.
Maybe that we go into closed session for legal advice from our counsel.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, is there any discussion? I hear none. We are now in a closed session. Oh, excuse me. All right, this is a call vote. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. We are now in closed session. Thank you. Okay. Council now finds it needed to come out of closed session. And I will need a motion to certify that what we talked to in closed session is what we had disclosed that we were going to discuss. So I need a motion that that happened and to come out of closed session.
What's that move?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
1 second. Do you have any discussion? All right, this is a roll call vote. Councilwoman Johnson.
Johnson.
Pass it on.
Sarah.
Gilman, aye.
All right, we're now in open session. Unless there's anything else to come out, council this evening. All right, we are adjourned.